friends.
You call me a saint, but you know I'm a stranger, all willing and able to do what you want. You think I'm a thinker, but I'm just a singer, all busy and pretty, just making that
Writing.
Home, because I loved writing more than I hated failing at writing, which is to say that I loved writing more than I loved my ego, which is ultimately to say that I loved writing more than I loved myself.
Unlike Socrates, who felt that the invention of writing would atrophy our brains because we wouldn't have to remember anything if we wrote it down.
I went on and I started writing down note cards, and I call them mental shortcuts, and I was reading these books, and I started traveling. I went to 51 countries. I would read a book.
The alphabet.
The alphabet of nations.
Around 22nd in the alphabet. That rarity spurred a craze for K at the turn of the century in advertising and print, where companies replaced hard C's with K's in order to catch your eye.
Called the alphabet and writing, we're totally dependent on it. It's transformed culture. We cannot imagine ourselves without the alphabet and writing. And so in the same way, we're going to not imagine ourselves without this other machine being there.
That is representing letters of the alphabet. This was OK's moment to shine.
Is the invention of the alphabet, and that has
A B C D F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z.
I began reciting the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. At K, he blinked his eyes. I began again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. He blinked again at the letter I, then at T, then at R, and A. Ketra. He said, Ketra, my beauty, don't cry. This is a blessing.
Punctuation.
Like letters, numerals, and punctuation marks, as saturated with color. Some even have gender or personality.
The words, the punctuation. Our business is
With no punctuation. Let's take a look at this one. I like your haircut, comma, it looks really good.
With punctuation and numbers. So there's 4 major watermarks, all over 1,000 base pairs of genetic code.
Almost no punctuation. The range of styles Joyce uses in Ulysses is one of the things that makes it so difficult.
Ultimately, this underappreciated punctuation mark can give writing clarity, force, and style.
Comma.
DJs. With the comma, you may think Bob is the DJ, and all you need is him and the puppy.
And the clever comma. Conjunctions are small and nimble. Comma rushes over to help the struggling subordinates. But how will she help?
Or a comma splice, okay? So now you're just so much smarter than when we started this a few minutes ago.
Ironically, the Oxford comma is more common in the United States, where it's recommended by the MLA, the Chicago Style Manual, or Oxford comma. And it has long driven grammar nerds crazy, because even major language institutions can't agree on whether it should be used.
Period.
People are buying books online, period. And then, of course, because now we have a new sentence, we need to make this a capital.
Period. By the time I completed my 1-year sentence at Langata Women Maximum Prison.
Period, or state of isolation, plague-related or not.
Period. And this is not easy at all. It's amazing.
Period. And that might even be the 2 years previously, right?
A period. The monthly menstrual cycle that leads to the period is a reality most women on Earth will go through in their lives.
Semicolon.
Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you soon. Slán go fóill.
to know. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!
Thank you for watching.
colon,
including inflammatory bowel disease, heart disease, colon cancer, and even obesity.
And sigmoid colon, which connects with the rectum and anus. The small intestine delivers stool consisting of ingested food, bile, and digestive juices to the majority of colon polyps and colon cancers. We do know in general that colon cancer involves the activation of what's called oncogenes in the polyp, and/or the loss of tumor suppressor genes that usually keep cancer cells in check.
Also known as your colon. Although each individual organ in this organ system does a very different job.
Elements, stomach, small intestine, colon. And within this structure, you see these two pinkish layers, which are actually the muscle.
exclamation mark,
Factorial with an exclamation mark. As a general rule, the factorial of any positive integer is calculated as the product of that same integer and all smaller integers down to 1. Introduced the exclamation mark for factorials just because he needed a shorthand for expressions like this. In fact, all of these symbols were invented or adopted by mathematicians who wanted to avoid repeating themselves.
For example, to stop. Stop. An exclamation mark is used if the imperative is urgent.
It's an exclamation mark, okay? This is an awful lot of work. This actually is roughly a man years of work, $200,000 roughly if you...
Exclamation mark. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we say and do things that hurt or...
Exclamations. That means normally we would have an exclamation mark at the end of this expression, okay? Like this, right? So what we can say is something like this. What a great singer, okay? So you see we're using what plus a noun, which is the word singer.
question mark,
Titled Our Final Century, question mark. My publishers cut out the question mark.
And there was this giant question mark. I love the design, for what it's worth, of this thing. And I started thinking, why haven't I opened it? And I realized that...
And I asked myself the question, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder at Facebook, and my boss asked all of us, which is, what would I do if I wasn't afraid?
Multinational, transnational giant makes all MBA students a question mark. A school dropout from Coimbatore, how he is able to sustaining?
And so I texted him a question mark. And he said, K equals okay.
My tiny body drooping like a question mark all over the wooden pew. I asked Jesus to fix me.
apostrophe,
Use the apostrophe. If you're showing possession, leave it out.
We always use an apostrophe, and you can use these in writing, informal writing. You don't want to use them on your college essay graduate paper, but we use them in a lot of different situations.
It's the apostrophe.
You're using an apostrophe. That's the key for a contraction. We always use an apostrophe.
And don't need an apostrophe. Remembering that will help you avoid one of the trickiest snags in English grammar.
Pronounce it as a T apostrophe apostrophe S.
Yeah, this is going swimming.
So we're teaching German now, Mr. Duncan.
Amazing. Well, you are.
I only know that from having to sing in German.
The apostrophe stands in for missing letters and lets common phrases squash into a single word.
quotation mark,
The Potter Stewart quotation by saying that we can think about something which
that same quotation. As a bonus, she hooked me up with the second one they make. It says, just knowing I can call you at 4 a.m. if I need to makes me not really need to, which I love.
Actually, this full quotation is, if you pressed me to say what is the method of science, I would have to say anything goes.
Here's a quotation. Even if we could keep the machines in a subservient position
For instance, by turning off the power at strategic moments, and I'll come back to that turning off the power idea later on, we should, as a species, feel greatly humbled.
A famous quotation can be found, if you look on the web, you can find it in literally scores of English course syllabus.
No quotation marks, by the way. He got ready to tackle him. He punched George off, and they rolled down. Then, when they got to the bottom,
Parenthesis.
Photosynthesis, rappers is whack as hell, and I'ma put it in parenthesis. No pause or comma, cause I'ma keep you fearing this. You got a question mark? I'm the nigga here, period.
Mike has turned the whimsical and dark style of They Might Be Giants and the punchliney style of Chicago hip-hop into a really special style of rap.
The Highline became a parenthesis in the day for doing nothing but sharing in the pleasures of being urban.
Question was always the same. I hate to do it, parentheses, I know this is stupid, close parentheses, but we have...
Here in the department at Purdue says, he says, logical arguments from evil are a dying, parentheses, dead breed. For all we know, even an omnipotent and omniscient
that I speak in parentheses. Now I realize that I have always been far ahead of my time, and what I am really doing is using hot links, you know.
The new part here is just this colon, and I had screwed up by omitting a parenthesis by accident, but notice the colon, and that means even though we're
bracket.
So you won the whole tournament. You earned the... I'm wondering if you were a bracket buster for some of those earlier rounds.
I think we were. The second round, we had to go up against Boulevard Brewery, which everybody loves. There's no...
Illustrates to sort of bracket different parts of a story that he tells. And I've used that as a device as well. Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the way that you use animals in your painting?
In fact, they've even created this new mounting bracket where you put the camera in and it naturally acts as a wind protector.
So do you remember the extant phylogenetic bracket method, where we take the anatomy of modern animals and we apply that to the fossil record?
In gold glitter, bracket the inscription in memory of, written in the saccharine cursive language, keeps no criticism at bay, a small resting place for hope in a sea of disappointment.
Square bracket.
To declare an array, you just do open square bracket and close square bracket, and then you have a comma-separated list of values, whether ints or strings or chars, whatever you want, inside of that expression there.
Slave to sensation, and I can press the square bracket key. And over there, what it's done is that it's generated square brackets around the thing that I'm writing, and it's offered to create a page for it. So I can click on.
So the blue is the audio description. Our standard is square bracket. So this is the video you just watched.
Remember, as I think Andy mentioned, square bracket 0-9, that's giving us a digit. And then in curly braces, we're saying how many of those things. We're saying, okay, 3 digits, that'll be our area code. Then we're matching the hyphen character. Then 3 more digits, then another hyphen, and then 4 digits. And so that's
right square bracket. Let's just take that up a bit. I want to give it a tiny bit more feather, but not much. And I'm just going to zoom in a little. Here we go. My brush a bit bigger, right square bracket. I want a fairly hard edge, but I think I'm going to give it a bit more feather than that. Here we go.
Slash.
Selling it would slash his pay. So he reasoned, like a budding American pragmatist, well, God wouldn't want me to starve.
You know, there's a lot of discussion going on about we have a budget deficit. And we have to slash this and slash that and cut back education and cut back research, things that will make our economy stronger, cut back infrastructure.
The Olmec most likely used a slash and burn method of farming. They would clear the forest of shrubs.
So, because again, if you slash it off this way, it'll make it look wider as well. So, you know, if it's something you want to avoid.
Stripper / waitress.
I'm a teacher.
No, I was talking.
At inkwellpress.com/be present. Now, once you're on my email list, anytime I have a download,
You'll get that automatically into your inbox.
Dash or hyphen.
As C with this little dash, this little hyphen next to it. It means the same thing. So it's a C minor chord. Now what's the difference there? I've got an E flat now instead of an E natural because in a
and America, I am the hyphen, the semicolon, the apostrophe. I am the revolver. I am the taste of steel.
You know, on your tombstone, between your birth date and your death date, there's a hyphen, a dash, and that mad dash is your entire life.
If I choose Save As, I renamed mine Ames-OSM2 PGSQL-shapefiles. The compressed extract files for Ames have now been downloaded.
Sometimes between a semicolon and a colon, for example, or between a dash and a hyphen. That's a very common confusion that I run into. People typing a hyphen and thinking that it's a dash.
No dash or hyphen in Kansas City. It's Kansas City just straight.
Underscore.
Pronouns to underscore the definition and introduce gender-neutral pronouns like they have. I encourage.
I know on Facebook I'm at Ms. Alyssa Murphy because I couldn't get the same.
With all the earlier stuff is just to understand the extent to which Maxim was committed to the idea of majority rule.
And weather reports, in order to underscore the ways in which perceptual experiences through different senses reinforce and transform.
Underscore this enough. What nothing has changed. We've in fact added and grown this.
Visualization, but rather to underscore the importance of story.
Number sign. Food sign.
Was standardized in the 19th century, bookkeepers began using that same symbol for knowing the amount of an object. Hence, the number sign and the pound sign seem to have a pretty similar trajectory. Moving on to the musical sharps.
Number sign, hash sign, and now the hashtag. Forever. Put it at the start and end the line. For a hashtag.
You've heard the term? It's the number sign. So if we invent a name for this campaign that you can put in your tweet and you use it.
One by default until the last, or until the whatever this sort of number sign is the size of a table, which I don't think.
Together to create the number sign. They could also be described as tic-tac-toe boards.
Your board was once exclusive to the number sign. As the sign, it dates back to the 1850s. Toe board, it goes back to 1823 as a symbol. General, there are cave drawings attributed to the Neanderthals that depict
ampersand.
You instead write ampersand, ampersand. And as we'll eventually see, a single ampersand happens to mean something different. So ampersand, ampersand just denotes the idea of and. And if there's multiple, maybe an ampersand, some other key equals value, ampersand key equals value. So
this ampersand board is fantastic.
Yeah,
love it. I just love this. But a lot of it is that you see, this is an ampersand board, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And
so I worked at, name and name. Okay.
Just watercolors on a cradled 8x10 audio board by ampersand. It's the perfect pair for everyone going to be working on an ampersand and caustic board. This is a pre-primed right out of the packaging that is perfect for all of your hot wax and caustic products.
At sign.
As you can see, if you want to become better at sign language, you're just going to have to keep learning. And there's so many different dialects of sign language.
Receptive at sign language, and I understand a lot, but when...
By looking at sign language, a lot of work with sign in with Google over the last few months and having a whole lot of fun with the new APIs. And has anybody tried out the new sign in APIs yet, by the way?
Asterisk. Letter. Word. Phrase. Sentence. Paragraph. Line. Page. Book. indentation, margin,